util package. So this Java collection framework, it is standardized the way in which group of objects are handled by your program. So as a programmer, when you talk about a Java program, so it's a bottom up approach. You have objects and you uh, group those objects into different hierarchies, inheritance, and build an application using existing objects, or you can create new classes and objects. So it is basically used for giving comfort to a programmer. Instead of writing a program from scratch, you can utilize the previously available classes. So it was not the part of original Java release, but it is added after in J2SE, Java 2 Standard Edition 1.2. Initially, instead of Java collection framework, there were separate classes like dictionary, vector, stack, and other classes to store and manipulate group of objects. And these classes were quite useful, but they are lacking with a central unifying theme. Means as common, we use system.out.println to print array list or print linked list. With a single interface, you just use add function to add element to the list, add element to the tree. So same means using the function, same, yeah, interface, you should able to add, remove elements from the collection, whatever the collection is, whether it is array list, vector, graph, tree, any, or stack. But the central and unifying theme is there. Now it is there. It was not there in previous classes which were the part of Java. So how collection framework works? The collection framework designed to meet several goals. First and important goal is it should be high performance. Then second is performance has to allow different types of collections to work on similar manner and with high degree of interoperability. So any type of collection is group of objects or data, any type of data which is a group data like a dictionary, like number of pages of a book, or a class of a student. So when you talk about a collection and any type of collection, you should able to work in a similar manner, and it should be easy to extend or adopt. A collection had to be easy, means it should be easy to extend the collection, or you should able to add new functionalities to the existing collection, or you can extend your class with the collection class. So collection framework is collection of interfaces and classes which help in storing and processing data efficiently. This framework has several useful classes which have tons of useful functions which make programmer task super easy. It is standardizes the way in which groups of objects are handled by a program. So main benefits of Java collection frameworks are it reduces programming efforts. Classes are readily available to use, so no need to work from the scratch. So it reduces programming effort, increase program speed and quality. Those classes which are available are tried and tested for different types of inputs, so there is no bug in the Java collection framework. So quality and speed is definitely going to get increased. It allows interoperability among unrelated APIs, application programming interface. You are working on different platforms, but these classes are available across platforms too. So it allows interoperability. It reduces efforts to learn and use new APIs. So instead of creating and writing your own classes using new application programming interface, they are readily available. So you can directly use without using your efforts to learn and use new API. It also reduces your efforts to design new API, and mainly it fosters software reuse. Previously created classes, interfaces are available to use. When JDK5 was released, some fundamental changes were made in collection framework, and which significantly increased its power and streamlined its use. And these changes are, it included generics. Generics means collection was available for any type of classes. It is not only for primitive data types, it is also available for user defined data types. Auto boxing and unboxing, that means you can convert an object in primitive data type to a class to a primitive data type, that is boxing and unboxing. And for each type of style loop, That means for each element in that particular collection, perform this. So this type of loops are available in now in Java collection framework after JDK 5. So collection, when you talk about a collection of books, collection of dresses, collection of stationery, whatever. So what is a collection? Collection is a group of atoms, or it can be a container where you can store group of atoms. So it is actual atom or it is a group of atom. So sometimes collection is also called container. It's simply an object that groups multiple elements into single unit. Like when we carry our purse, it has multiple elements, but we call it as a purse and it has various elements together, so that it is a container which holds different collections. So collections are used to store, retrieve, manipulate, and communicate aggregate data. So we have aggregate data in the form of, say, array list or linked list or stack or queue or tree, and we want to store it. Then we want to retrieve it, use elements from that array. We want to manipulate that, we want to change the elements of that array. We want to communicate with the aggregate data. So these collections are useful. Typically they represent data items that form a natural group. For example, collection of cards, that is poker hand. Then mail folder, which has collection of letters. Or telephone directory, it is a mapping of name and phone number, like this. So collection framework is, in case of Java, it is unified architecture for representing and manipulating collections. So all collection framework contains the following. So take any class of collection framework and it should have interface, implementation, and algorithm. So what are the interfaces? Interfaces are pure abstract class. In next unit, you'll get introduced with interfaces. Interfaces means it is just a description. You just tell a programmer what you want, how the programmer will decide. So these are abstract data types that represent collections. Interface allow collection to be manipulated independently of details of their representation. Then implementation is concrete implementation, means you are providing the all the details, that what you exactly want and how it should be done. So that is concrete implementation, concrete class or normal class. And algorithms are searching or sorting type of algorithms that can be performed on the objects of collection type. So collection classes, there are some standard classes that implements collection interface. So we can have standard class like array list or linked list, which implements collection interface. Some classes provide full implementation that can be used as it is. Other are abstract classes which provide skeleton, only what they want and how it is given. The scope will be decided by the user. So it will be just as a starting point for creating the concrete collections. So this is the list of classes available in collection interface. So before starting with the array list, which is example of one of the collection, let me give you a big picture. Hierarchy of collection framework. This is Java point. You can search collection in Java. So the collection in Java is a framework that provides an architecture to store and manipulate group of objects. A collection can achieve all the operations that you perform on data, such as searching, sorting, insertion, manipulation, deletion. So Java collection means a single unit of objects. The collection framework provides many interfaces and classes. So it has some interfaces and classes. So collection represents single unit of object, that is a group. So what is framework in Java? It provides ready-made architecture. Everything is available to you. It represents set of classes interfaces and it is optional. It is not compulsory to use Java collection framework. You can write your own class, but it's a choice. Classes are available, you can go with that. So collection framework represent unified architecture for storing, manipulating group of object. Again and again, they are repeating the same thing. Okay. I want to give you this big picture. This is hierarchy of collection framework. So in java.util package, it contains all classes and interfaces of collection framework. Note that iterable is topmost interface. That blue color box means interfaces. Interfaces means abstract, pure abstract class. It has just provided you a skeleton, what to do, not how to do. And this green boxes means concrete class, provided you the complete description, what to do and how to do both. So when we talk about class, class extend other class, and when we talk about interface, interface implements other interface. So iterable, this is collection interface. Collection interface extends iterable. Then these are interfaces list, queue, and set. And from list, array list implements list, linked list implements list, and DQ, like this. So this is the hierarchy of different classes and interfaces available in java.util package. There are many classes other than this. You can see the list. This is just the sample. So what you have to do, remember, is it is in java.util package. Iterable is the topmost interface which inherit or implement collection. Collection has other interfaces like list, queue, and set. Array list implements list. We are going to talk about array list and hash set. So array list is a class. If you can see here, array list is in green color. It's a class. So array list class extends abstract list and implements list interface. Array list is a generic class and that has this declaration, class array list, and this triangular bracket here, that capital E means you have to mention here type of array list that you want. E specifies the type of objects that the list will hold. Array list support dynamic array that can grow as needed. In Java, standard arrays are of fixed length. How we create an array in Java? Integer a of is equal to new int, and we specify its size. You can look into the chat box. Integer a of is equal to new int, and in square bracket you can mention a size. This is how we can create an array, normal array. And the size of array is fixed. I cannot add element at the sixth location. And if I added element, only one element, still there are the four places which are blank. But in case of array list, whenever we add element, its length will increase. When we remove element from the list, its length will decrease. So you may not know until runtime precisely how large array you need. So to handle this situation, collection framework defines array list. So array list is variable length array of object reference. So you can pass any type of object to array list. You can create array list of any type of objects. You can create array list of complex numbers. You can create array list of students. You can create array list of date class, any class, or array list of primitive data types like string, integer, character, float. Array list can dynamically increase or decrease in size. Array lists are created with initial size. When the size exceeded, the collection is automatically enlarged. When the objects are removed, array can be shrunk. There are three constructors are available to create array list. You can create array list with a default constructor, means with length 0 without specifying the length. Then you can create array list with other collection. You can pass any other array list to this array list. And you can create array list with initial capacity. So the first constructor builds empty array list. The second constructor builds an array list that is initialized with the elements of collection C, whatever the collection is. And the third constructor will build array list that has specified initial capacity. So let's see the demo for array list. So here import, we have to import this. Let me comment this first. I was trying hash set code. So array list. Note that A and capital is capital. Array list. Then we have to specify type of array list that we want to create. Suppose we want to create string array list. And then name of our variable, say AS or AL. Name of array list is AL is equal to new array list. Again, we have to specify the type in triangular bracket. We are creating array list of strings. So this is similar to how we create any other object. Array list A1 is equal to new array list opening and closing bracket. But what is the difference? Only here in triangular bracket, we have to mention the type. Now let's check what is the size of this array list. There is a function called size. We can check size of array list. Oh, why there is a error? Can anyone tell me what is that error means? Cannot find a symbol array list.
You haven't imported java.util.
Correct. Array list is unknown for main unless and until we import this java.util, because this class is available in java.util package. You can directly import that particular class array list if you know. Otherwise, you can mention java.util.star. So initial length is 0. I have created array list with an default constructor. So if I check length size of my array list, it is 0. Now I want to add few elements into the array list. So we'll add on these elements only. The function is add, al.add. Note that we haven't written this add function. We are using as like this class is available for us. We're adding, suppose we have added these three elements into the list, and again we'll check what is size of our array list. So initial size is 0. Now after adding few elements, wait a minute. So initial array list, when we created, the size was 0. After adding few elements, now size is 3. How to print array list? It is like we print any element of primitive data type, we can print array list as AL. So you can check here, it is printed in a square bracket. And each element is separated by comma. Here I have not used for loop or something. I just printed system.out.println and the list is printed automatically. Suppose I want to add element in between alpha, beta. Here I want to add gamma, suppose at this location. So again, there is a function, say add only, al.add. Now here I can specify the index at which location 0, 1, 2 at second location, and what I want to add, say gamma. Again we'll check size and print the list. So size is increased by 1 and the element is added at this location. Note that function is same. This is function overloading. Function is same, but number of parameters are different. Here we just passed one string. Here we passed index and the string. To remove element from the array, al dot remove. If I just write remove, which element will be removed from the list? Will it remove any element or I have to pass something? So it's giving me some error. Cannot find a symbol. It is not A1, it's AL. Note that it is giving me this error. Actual and formal argument list differs in length. So remove required at least one element, either object or the integer, that is index or object. So if I pass remove 1, what it will remove?
Alpha.
Alpha.
So element which is at first location, it will remove alpha. And you can see size is reduced. So it will show that it is showing that this array is dynamic array. It is growing and shrinking as we add or remove element. And you can remove element with the index, or you can remove element with the help of actual. You can specify which element do you want to remove. Suppose I want to remove beta. So which beta it will remove? First or last? This one or this one? Or both? It will remove only first element, first matching with this whatever the object that you passed. It will match the first object which is matching. It will remove that and retain the list with remaining elements. You can try other functions of array list. You can find out what are different functions of array list. We have seen 3 functions: size, add, remove. Add with object, add with index and object, remove with index, remove with object. You can create array list of any type. You have to just mention type here. Suppose I want to make array list of, say, student. Let me create a class student. And what the student should have: integer roll number and string name. And I have a constructor which will initialize roll number and name. Roll number is equal to R, name is equal to N, and the function which will display name and roll number. Roll number is and name. Our class is ready. Class student with 2 parameters: integer roll number and string name. Constructor to initialize these variables and display function to display this variable. Now I want to create a array list of student. So let me first create objects of a student. Student S1 is equal to new student. And I'll pass roll number 10 and name Ria. Then I can create one more student. I'm creating objects of class student. S2. Ria. I want to create array list of student object. So instead of string here, we have to use student. So we have created array list AL. You can change this name if you want to create a list of student and give the name, say A division or something. You can use that. It will print initial size, which is 0. Then we want to add element to the list. So how to add element? AL dot add. Here instead of initially we passed alpha, beta, gamma. Here I'll pass S1, that is first student, and then I'll pass second student. S1, S2. Note that these objects need to be created before adding into the list. We should have these objects ready. So I have a list, array list with these objects. Now this is interesting. You can see what print statement will print. Can you see here 0? 0 is initial size. When you created array list and printed the AL dot size, it has printed 0. Then we added two elements, A1 dot add and A1 dot add, S1 and S2. Now S1 and S2, these are two elements. So this size is now 2. And when you print system dot out dot print ln AL, it is printing something which is not Ria or Priya. What is this? This is the reference to that object. It is actual reference to particular object of class student. We want contents at that location, and how to get those contents? So when you use remove element, so only print will not print the contents of the array. After printing, if you want to check the contents of that particular array list, you need to use iterator, or what you have to use is you have to print a in a for loop, because it is not in built variable. AL dot size, you know what is the size of your array list is I plus plus. Here you have to print AL of I at particular location dot display. You have to call that display function, and display function will display name and roll number and name for that particular student. So AL, that is the list at that particular location, it will get the object from this list and call the display function for that particular object and display name and roll number for that particular object. Size, it's a function. Okay, we'll come to that afterward. So this is the array list of string. We have seen this. Initial size is 0. We added capital C, A, E, B, D, and F, and added new element A2 at first location. So size of AL after addition is, this will be the output. Initial size is 0, after addition is 7. These are the contents of array list. When you print the contents of array list, when you remove capital F and remove 2, 2 means element at second location, that will, it will remove E, not E, A, because we added A1 here at the first location, and F. So size after deletion is 5 and the contents of array list is this. So what you can do is, when working with the array list, sometimes we want to obtain actual array contents of the list. Means we need to convert array list to an array or array to an array list. So there is a function in array list which is called toArray. ToArray function will convert array list to an array. So why we need array? We have seen arrays are fixed size and they are not dynamic, and array list is dynamic, can shrink and grow as per the elements we add. But still, sometimes we need to work on arrays than array list. These are the reasons, because to obtain faster processing for certain operations, numerical operations work faster with arrays than array list. That's why we need when we want to search or sort some elements, then it's better to use arrays instead of array list. To pass an array to a method that is not overloaded to accept collection. So collections, as we have seen, it is optional. Not all the classes or the other libraries use collection. So if we are using array list and the function or the class that we want, it's not allowing us to pass array list as a parameter. So we need to convert array list to an array and we have to pass it. For example, here I'm not able to access a of I because it is not an array, it is array list. And to access array list, I need an iterator. To integrate collection based code with legacy code that does not understand the collection. So collection is some means advanced topic in Java. It is not used by many programmers. So it is should match with the legacy code or the traditional code. So we can go with normal arrays rather than array list. So how to convert array list to an array? Let's use integer array. So note that here integer is I is capital, it is a class integer, wrapper class. It is not data type int, small I. Note that for whenever we use collection in this triangular brackets, we need a class. So here we need a class integer al is equal to new array list. I have passed integer values 1, 2, 3, 4. And when we print contents of al, it is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the list. And we want sum of these elements. So we want to perform some numerical operations. So instead of performing numerical operation on array list, we convert array list to an array. So this is integer IA, means how we create an array, integer array similar to that of size al dot size. We have created this array object and al dot to array, and in bracket we have to pass this array object and assign it to that particular object. And this is for each type of loop. For I to IA, sum is equal to sum plus I. Note that IA is this complete array and it will print a sum. Or you can just use a normal for loop to uh, do the sum. Let me give you this example. We'll see student example afterwards. I'll comment this part. Let me delete it. So we have to create array of integer, array list of integer data type. Integer, any name, but I'm using AL. new keyword is must, new array list, again in bracket, data type, integer, and opening and closing bracket. That means you have created object of array list AL. Then we can pass elements to the array list by add method. 1, 2, 3, 4, any elements. AL dot add. Note that if I want to add element at first location, is it possible with integer? 1, comma 1. Here we can print system.out.println array list. So it will print array list in integer form 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we want to convert this array list to an array. So create array object integer array is equal to new integer, and we have to pass size. Size is al dot size. So we have created integer array is equal to new integer, and in bracket we have to pass the size. Bracket should be square bracket. Al dot size. Here we can pass 1, 2, 3, 4 like in normal case of array, but here as this array list is dynamic, we are passing here size function. So array list, integer array is created. We want to convert this array list AL to integer array. So IA is equal to, we want AL dot to array. Function is to array. And what we want to convert to array? IA. AL dot to array IA and is equal to IA. So this function will convert AL to integer array. And we can use for loop, normal for loop for integer I is equal to 0, I is less than, again al dot size, or we can store this size in some variable, so that will be easy, and I plus plus. And here we want to print, sorry, we need to calculate sum. So integer sum is equal to 0 initially. Sum is equal to sum plus IA of I. Here we can use A of I because IA is now array. And we can print sum. We want sum of all these elements, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. So it has printed sum 10. So this is how we can use to array function to convert array list to an array. Here we converted integer array list to integer array. We can convert string array list to string array. Or in previous example, we have used student array list. We can convert to student array, and then we can print one by one object of that array using display function. Another class is hash set class. In a collection hierarchy, if you can see here, list, queue, set. You have studied about set, right? Set is unordered collection, means it doesn't allow you duplicate elements, and sequence doesn't matter. So hash set in is extending set class. So hash set also has same functions as that of array list. We can create hash set. Hash set extends abstract set and implements set interface. It creates a collection that uses hash table for storage. Hash set is generic class, and this is the declaration similar to array list. Class hash set and e is a type of object that you want that set should hold. So hash table stores information by using mechanism called hashing. um, have you heard about this word hashing? Hashing is some key. If you have data set of large numbers, to instead of searching from zero index or going with the index itself, you can keep some hash or hashtags. Like we arrange our files with hashtags. This is FCM, this is physics file or physics notes or chemistry notes or FPL notes. You put those hashtags. No, similarly, for in case of large data set, we can keep some functions like say mod 5, or for example, if we have data set of 1000 or 10,000 students, and we can keep a hash key as the surname or name, or first 100 characters, or then say next 100 characters, like this. So some key should be there to access that particular element. So such hash tables store the information using mechanism called hashing. Hashing is the information contents of a key is used to determine unique value, which is called hash code. And hash code is used as an index at which the data associated with the key is stored. So it is not like a of I 0, and you go to zeroth element and you'll get that element. In case of hash table, first you have to crack that key. You need to get that key, and at that, when you go to that particular key index, there you will get the data. And key is in the form of hash code, and which is calculated automatically. You are, as a programmer, you never see hash code itself. Your code can't directly index the hash table. So it can be a random key. What is the advantage of hashing? It allows execution time of add, contains, remove size to remain constant even for large sets. For example, for suppose searching, I want to search an element, and if that element present at the first location, so efficiency is highest. If you are searching for element 1 and it is located at first position, and if you are searching for element which is located at last position, last location, and you have to search one by one all the elements sequentially, so time required to search first element is less than time required to search last element from the list in normal case. But when we use hashing technique, searching becomes very efficient because a time is even whether the it is first element or last element, because you can reach to that particular point with the help of hash or tag. So in case of hash set class, these are the constructors available. Default constructor without any parameter, constructor with a collection object, constructor with a capacity, that is size, constructor with capacity and field ratio. So first constructor A will create a default hash set. Second gets initialized with the hash set by using elements of collection C, and it get initialized by the capacity of hash set to the capacity of this collection. Then, third one is for this capacity. Fourth form initialize both the capacity as well as fill ratio. Also, the load capacity of hash set from its arguments. The fill ratio must be between 0 to 1. It determines how full the hash set can be before it resize upward. Means to generate the hash keys, you have to provide some key indexes. So 0 to 1. Any value between 0.0 to 1.0. So similar to what we have seen just now, array list, you can create hash set class. Okay. Only the difference it won't allow you duplicate elements. So here we have created a HS, which is hash set object, initialized with default constructor, then added beta alpha. I have again added beta just to check whether I'm getting some error or not. And now I'm printing the hash set. So in case of array list, it has printed beta, alpha, beta, eta, etc. But here again, okay, hash set is not included. That's why we have to say java.util.star. Star means it will import all the required classes and interfaces. And this is not the ordered set. We have added beta at starting location, but it has added gamma at the starting location. Doesn't matter. So sequence is also different than what we have added. And to remove element, again it is same, HS dot remove. Functions are same. You can pass what you want to remove. If I want to remove beta, and then print hash set, or you can remove element at the location, particular location. Remove say 2, and again print hash set. For hash set, I think we need to pass the object itself, because indexing will not work as a set. Hash set is not ordered set. So always when we say a of 0, that element will not present at that particular location. So location, that index will not work. So remove will remove the element, and add function will add element to the hash set. You can go through these functions which are available in collection interface, that add function, add all, remove, then remove all, or different collections. Like we have seen, this is the list collection, list interface. We have seen array list and the add function. There is the class called linked list, then vector, stack. Stack is also available. You can directly use stack without creating stack class. You can push elements, pop element from the stack. Queue, priority queue, set interface, and hash set. This is the hash set, right? So let's stop here. In next lecture, we'll start with the unit number 4. Any queries about Java Collection Framework?